Welcome to the Press Box, a presentation of the Dispatch from the Rock Island Argus. This is Daniel Makarewicz. I'm Marc Nesseler. We greatly appreciate our sponsor, Zeglin's TV and Appliance. Week 4, we're heading into the Western Big Six. All the non-conference action is done, so I thought we'd go with by the way, we have lots of props today.
Correct.
Based on last week, we picked fantasy teams based on Western Big Six players. Starts this week. You decided to name your team the Afros or the Fros because Devin Smith of the Quincy Blue Devils has a great fro. Is it better than this one?
No. I mean, this is a real winner. This is what a fro should look like.
I bet you're probably shocked that I would own such a thing.
No, nothing shocks me with you ever.
And you dubbed me the Mad Hatters. I wanted to be the Hatters. You said the Mad Hatters. Probably Mad is pretty correct because we were talking. I probably got about 100 hats.
What Division I college nickname is a Hatters?
Wow, I haven't the clue.
Stetson. It's in Louisiana. The Stetson Hatters.
The Stetson was a hat, so that would make sense.
Yes, the Stetson Hatters.
I like that.
Yeah, the Fighting Hatters.
So 6 questions, and the first question is actually based on last week's discussion.
Correct.
I want to go with, can we please, pretty please, entertain a fantasy waiver wire for the Hatters heading into the, and even the Fros if you want.
Right.
Because I'm looking at who I had, and I'd just like to make one slight change.
Okay.
Would you allow that?
Sure.
Thank you. I would like to go with, as good as Maffey is, with Moline quarterback, 3 touchdown passes, but I'm kind of hesitant in the fact that he's sharing time with Brock Bertelli.
Correct.
So I'd really like to double up with my Galesburg receiver and go with Ross.
Right, Jacob Ross.
Jacob Ross, who was on fire last week. And they're 3-0. So I'm going to head that direction. So would you like to make a change? Because
no, I'm fully confident.
The namesake of your team is sharing time with I can't even think of his name.
Devin Smith.
No, Devin Smith is your running back.
Right.
It's the other guy. Is it Brock?
Yeah, I can't even pronounce his
first name.
It's
Jamil
Brock.
Yeah, but he actually has more yards right now than Smith. But you're comfortable with Smith,
right? But Devin Smith, with the Big Six play coming in, and Quincy's more of a balanced attack. But he's a type of running back who I think within the Big Six will thrive because of his size, his strength. And
he
his
did
quickness.
have 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, I think everybody scored against North Lawndale.
Everybody scored.
Scored
I
against
think
North
you get a
Lawndale.
touchdown. You get a touchdown. They kind of did the Oprah thing.
Yes.
So second question, the biggest surprise in the first 3 weeks of the football season, biggest surprise. I'll let you go first.
That Rock Island, I'll get to that one later. Galesburg, it has been 34 years since they started 3-0. That to me is the biggest surprise. So, first time in my lifetime, Galesburg won its first 3 games to open a season. I could not believe that it had been that long. And Galesburg has had some success since that time. Galesburg has won an outright Big Six championship in that time. The fact that this is the first time since 1982, the year the St. Louis Cardinals won their 9th World Series.
Wow.
It's the first time that Galesburg has started 3-0. That to me is shocking.
I was at that 1982 World Series.
I was
Joaquin Andahar.
A while away from being born.
Yes.
Joaquin Andahar, rest in peace. The late Joaquin Andahar.
Yep. So I'm going to go with a play rather than a team.
Okay.
A surprising play. And this just happened last Friday.
Right.
Rock Island was at Richwoods. And usually you think Jacob Ellis, Ben Ellis, the first top 2 targets. Corey Freeman caught a ball like on a screen pass, like a 15-yarder sideline.
Right.
Like maybe a 6 inches from out of bounds. And I thought, well, okay, you got a first down. And he stopped dead in his tracks. And I'm thinking, okay, why is he doing that? All of a sudden, 3 Richwood defenders just dive past him. And once that's done, he sprints to the end zone for another, 55 yards.
Right.
For a 70-yard touchdown. I just thought that was the oddest thing I've seen, where a receiver just stops dead in his tracks and proceeds to the end zone untouched.
And I like how Rocky's offense, they do a lot of short passes. They're not trying to stretch the field. They're letting their playmakers be able to create
And that's kind of what Alec Jacobs was saying.
Right.
It's the fact that he doesn't have to throw it long.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to do that with
Casey
them.
Commodore, same thing.
Yeah.
The Jacobs boys can do the same thing.
Because that's I like the bubble screen. I like the quick passes. I like the that sort of stuff. I'm trying to think of the route, and I can't even think of it.
You're asking me.
The hitch or all that sort of stuff.
All right, so biggest play, single play, and I just used one of mine, but I got another one in the first 3 weeks.
Good question. I still go back to to me it would be a drive where Edwardsville is up 14-7. They're going to get the ball to start the second half.
Right.
That Rocky just scored to cut it to a 14-7 game down there, and they go 2-yard loss. Rocky calls a timeout. 2 incomplete passes, stops the clock, and then a bad snap on the punt. Rocky gets the ball then at the Edwardsville 15, 2 plays later, ties the game. And to me, that kind of defined Rock Island in that game is that Rock Island's not going to make a super amount of mistakes. Rock Island's going to force teams into mistakes, and Rock Island's going to take advantage of those mistakes.
Now, I wonder if they did that because they were at home, and you might not make those kind of risks.
Well, the coach in the
road.
press box from
Maybe. I'm just
Edwardsville
thinking.
said, just kneel on it, take the 14-7 lead, we get the ball to start the second
Sure.
half. That's what, and he had some choice words for the decision, and I think through his headset in the press box too. But that would be mine.
Mine was absolute. Again, back on Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Ridgewoods, and I can't remember seeing anything like this.
Right.
It's a point after touchdown.
Right.
And I think it's Rock Island to go up 21-0.
Right.
So a good distance. But the ball is snapped over Nicholas Rossler's head. Not just snapped over it, but I mean like snapped way over back to like the 25-yard line. Now think of it, they snapped from what, the 3?
Yes.
So 22-yard snap.
Right.
So Rossler backpedals, picks it up, backpedals even farther, maybe 5, maybe even 10 yards, and just throws a Hail Mary. And I thought he's just trying to get rid of it.
Right.
But there's Jacob Ellis standing in the end zone all by himself. Of course he's all by himself because everybody's looking at the wild snap.
Yeah, and they're running toward him.
Exactly, for a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, that's just...
that tends to happen in a situation like that because at high school they're not as disciplined or experienced to know, hey, some of us have to stay back.
Some of us have to stay back,
They can just launch it into the end zone.
Well, if I ever see that again, I'd be surprised.
Right, right.
I don't think I've seen that long of a 2-point conversion pass.
Right.
I mean, it had to be 35, 40 yards.
Well, it's almost like last year where Arkansas and Ole Miss, Arkansas had like a 4th and 25. They threw a hook and ladder, and the guy caught it, and then he just threw it backwards. His teammate caught it, picked it up, and ran for a first down.
Okay, something that must happen in the next 6 weeks of the football season, something that just absolutely has to happen, or else.
I have 2. Can I get 2?
Okay.
So you get to make a fantasy football change.
I'm going to wear my black hat on this one.
First one, Moline
guy.
has to be either Quincy, Rock Island.
You just stole mine.
Or, okay, then you can have that one. Then I'll go to mine.
Well, no, just take 2 and I'll take none.
Rock Island has to find a Week 9 opponent. They have gotten 0 playoff points
Right, I mean,
from half of their opponents, okay? Because Alleman, UT, Alton, and Richwood have not won a game yet. So half of their 8 opponents have not given them any playoff
And so they're
points.
going to be low on the points.
So
total
say they
poll.
went out and
so
they're
in ninth
7-1.
week, if they have no opponent, they get no points.
They could be 7-1 and be on the road in the playoffs in the first round because the IHSA will go by their total
probably
wins.
with the low seed.
Yes, because
not even a high seed.
They've only gotten power. They've gotten 3 power points from Edwardsville, 1 from Moline, 3 from Galesburg,
and a week
2
9's
from
just not going to happen, is it?
Well, it hasn't yet.
It happened for Erie Prophetstown. They came up with Ottawa Marquette.
But theirs was
in a
week
week
4 is a
4
little bit different
this week.
But we'll see about week 9. But Rock Island, yeah, that's the deal. And then you can go with your.
Well,
When we discussed this last night,
the fact that Moline's 1-2,
right,
and they play normal U High in the last week. So let's say they win that one.
right,
That would put them at 2 wins. They have to get to.
they need to go 3-2 in the Big Six.
3-2, and United Township,
Alleman,
and Moline. I mean, and Rock Island. So they have to win.
and 2 of those games,
and Galesburg.
They have to go to Quincy. They have to go to Rock Island. The only home game in that stretch is Galesburg. So to get to 5 wins, you're going to have to go 3-2 in the Big Six.
3-2. So that means that would have to get a win against either Quincy, Rock Island, or Galesburg.
With only one of those being at home.
With only one being at home.
Yeah.
That was really insightful of me, and I had that down, and then you come up and steal my thunder.
We discussed it last night.
I thought you'd take one, and I'd take one, and you'd take two.
But I did let you have the fantasy trade or
that's true.
Reacquisition.
That's true. And we'll call it square.
All right, good.
Thanks. All right, next one. Best area performance, and by area I mean outside of the Big Six and Geneseo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Best area performance last week by a single player.
Well, you can go first.
Okay, I'm going to go with our pace setter from Mercer County, Wyatt Kellogg. I just have never heard of somebody individually coming up with 4 turnovers and scoring the game-deciding touchdown.
My personal best
That's
was
a combo right there.
I recovered 2 fumbles my senior year in a game at Peoria Manual. That was my personal best. Was recovering 2 fumbles at Peoria Manual.
So you're 2 fumbles shy of being my best area performer.
But see, as a defensive lineman, it was tougher to get an interception. And I think I also drew a personal foul.
Did you have hair back then?
Ouch.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out when's the last time. Was it in the 2000s?
Yes. Okay. I had hair.
What year were you born?
1986. I had hair when I was hired here.
Not much.
Can we just move on from the hair?
Okay, who else do you want? Who else?
Riley Federer.
I have Wyatt Kellogg.
Riley Federer comes in, takes over a quarterback.
Had never been a quarterback before.
At the varsity level. He was a fresh quarterback, but 260 rushing yards.
Crazy.
22 carries, 5. He scored every point. Rockridge was down 20-0 at half. Came back, won 32-20. He had every point. The 5 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. That to me is a singular performance that is pretty impressive, and doing it on the road. Now, both of them are equally impressive because one did it defensively, one did it offensively.
And then as long as we're on it, the Riverdale tandem, my hat, Parker Corson and
Brady Sechrist.
Right. Like a gazillion rushing yards, but they did it
together
right.
And breaking that 20-game losing streak. And they did it against Chicago Marshall, who are the Commandos. And ironically, Commando is one of my all-time favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
Great
film.
I'm glad you went the film route and not the newsroom sports department.
What stays in
discussion,
the sports department.
Exactly, and it needs to, but we've opened that door so everybody.
But Commando is one of my all-time favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger films. It's a great film, great one-liners in that one.
Briar Greenman.
Yeah,
from Ridgewood.
Game-winning 2-point conversion.
And 300 yards passing.
Yeah, and he didn't even complete that many passes.
Yeah.
That's what was amazing. And then I give a lot of credit to Fulton coming off a tough loss against Newman and beating Orion at home with a late field goal by Cole McCleary. On the area side, a lot of really good performances last week. Sherrard almost came up with a win against Erie Provincetown. They are on a long losing streak now. Erie Provincetown gets its first win of the season. Riverdale ends that losing streak of 20 games. So there was a lot of and I was impressed with Geneseo the first time this year that they had been challenged, had their backs against the wall, and they come back and respond with a nice win over Cahokia.
By the way, you'd like this hat. I got a Cardinal
the Cardinals
hat.
one.
Yep. You see that one, Margaritaville?
Right.
So, yeah, I got a lot more at home if you want to wear one some Friday night.
Your hats might be too big for my head.
That's a possibility.
Wishful thinking.
Last one.
Okay.
Best area matchup of week 4.
Oh, I'm going to let you go first on that one.
I'm going to go with Mercer County, Stark County, and not just because they both end in county. I think Stark County got their first loss in
their first conference loss.
Conference loss.
It was a 17 game conference winning streak.
And Mercer County's coming off the very narrow, narrow victory. So I think Stark County's out to get back on the winning track. Mercer County has to play better, I think, than they did last week.
From an intriguing standpoint.
And it's a road game for
Mercer County.
And
they won in a tough environment at Carthage at Illini West and took care of business down there. For me, I'm looking at Riverdale Fulton. And on paper, you would think Fulton should be able.
Because they just beat Orion.
But how can they come off that big high of going on the road and facing a team now that has some confidence, that has some momentum, and played well last week.
And knows, though, that they can produce offensively.
We'll see what kind of metal Fulton has, and we'll see what kind of metal Riverdale has. Something will be said. Will Riverdale be able to continue the momentum and on the road?
You had a very interesting conversation with Coach Dierks on our Terry Duckett on our staff.
Right.
The fact that when he played football at Riverdale, Terry covered him.
Correct.
And now that he's coaching, Terry still covers him.
Correct.
And yet, what did he say?
He hasn't changed a bit.
Hasn't changed a single bit. Hasn't aged.
Terry is like a fine wine. He gets better with age.
Hasn't aged an ounce.
Yeah. He looks like he could be 25.
Well, and so do you.
Thank you. Oh, but I don't have any hair. I know.
How old are you?
30.
Well, see, there you go. That's a compliment.
30 is the new, 22.
I'll tell you what, the Hatters supporting their fantasy team with a hat.
Right.
I think the Afros should support their team with one of those. You got your choice. You got the small one or the extra large. There you go. This is for.
I would say that I'd rather have Daquan Jones, a Rock Island graduate, had the greatest flat top I'd ever seen.
A flat top?
I'd rather have
that
a flat
looks good
top.
on you.
Yeah.
That really does.
Yeah.
I mean, can we talk you into wearing that on Friday night?
No.
Who do you got Friday night?
Rock Island at Alleman.
Rock Island at Alleman.
Keeping up tradition, I need to wear the khaki pants at Alleman, and a polo for that. But I feel like something could get lost in this thing.
Yeah, you could have something land in that.
Yeah, it's like a beehive.
Yeah.
I look like Priscilla Presley.
You could have a couple. You're at Alleman. I was going to say if you were at a Soul Bowl like I would be, you could have a couple pork chop sandwiches up there.
No, you don't want to ruin the pork.
Well, I'm just saying it could be you finish one and you reach up and could be another one up there. You just never know.
We'll end on that one.
All right. All right. We got this is week 1 of the Hatters versus the Fros. So, if you want to go back to last week's taping, see who we got. If you want to get in on the fun, email one of the other of us. Go to the page 2 of the sports section for our email address. Get in on it. You could win a lunch. You never know. Thank you, Zeglins, for putting up with us, for sponsoring our press box. And I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm Zach Brown next week.
Oh, I feel sorry.
Do you know any Zach Brown
Yeah,
songs?
I have a couple on my iTunes.
Yes,
I have
absolutely.
a couple on my iTunes.
So we'll have either DJ Jarvis, our fantasy football writer, or Anthony Sandoval, who covers Geneseo, stepping in for me. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Daniel, see you next week. Thanks for stopping by.